I'm Scott Munn, along with Tug Coward at the Warrior Alliance Network Studios in Atlanta, Georgia. Lieutenant Commander William Vuillet served 12 years as a naval aviator, flying F18 Hornets and Super Hornets, supporting combat operations in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria. He's a graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy and the Navy Fighter Weapons School, also known as Top Gun, where he later served 3 years as an instructor. After the Navy, William became an associate partner in the Atlanta office of McKinsey Company, one of the world's top management consulting firms, where he supports profitable growth for companies in advanced industries. Aerosmith, not Aerosmith.
Just canceled the tour with Black Rose.
Where he supports profitable growth for companies in advanced industries, aerospace, and defense. William also leads the Veteran Employee Resource Group at McKinsey Atlanta. Office, where he supports veteran organizations, including a special partnership with the Warrior Alliance. McKinsey & Company actively hires qualified veterans, and they're an outstanding example of being warrior committed. So Tug and I are fired up to meet McKinsey's top gun, Mr. William Vuillet. Welcome to the Warrior Alliance Network.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks for the kind intro.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Go Navy. How about that?
Yeah.
I like it.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute, fellas. You know I'm an Army brat. I got to say go Army, beat Navy.
That's right, man.
It's been a tough couple of years, but we'll get them this year.
We had 14, though.
Yes,
I feel like that stands for something.
My freshman year at the academy was the last year we lost until we went to that 14-0 streak, which was pretty fun to watch the start of.
Yeah, man, that was not bad. I joined the Navy because I knew I'd be at the beach, and I know that sounds like a terrible reason to join any branch of the service, but it's the truth. I love the ocean. I love being around the water. So I was like, how will I get to the beach? And it came down to Marine Corps or Navy, and I was like, well, I think the Navy is for me. And sure enough, and it was a great way to start my young life. I got out of my little bitty hometown, which everybody works in the carpet mills up in northwest Georgia where I'm from, and this was just a different path forward. And I'm very proud of my service, and I'm proud of all the things I've seen or I was able to see that I wouldn't have otherwise. What inspired you to go to the Naval Academy there in Annapolis?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a bit of a journey for me. I actually grew up overseas. So my mom's from Athens, Georgia.
How about dogs?
Yeah, exactly. Go Dogs. And my father's from France, and so I grew up over there. But I always had a strong tie to my American identity. I had the opportunity to spend every summer here in the U.S. Go to YMCA camp. Go to the beach here in the summertime, etc. And so I think early on, I always knew that, okay, when I finish high school, I want to, move to the U.S., hopefully go to college and find a path here in the U.S. and connect with my American identity and my American roots. And, I started exploring around, and the idea of service was something that was very appealing to me, something that I wanted to experience. And as I started researching schools, really the Naval Academy kind of matched a lot of criteria. So the opportunity to serve, I love the tradition behind it. The Air Force Academy just didn't quite have that history. And then fortunately, I was able to play a sport there, and then all of that packaged into the opportunity to then fly in the Navy. So
what did you play?
Kind of a dorky one, but I was on the crew team, so
that's
awesome. I
rode in
Navy.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I rode in Navy for 4 years on the lightweight crew team there, which was an amazing experience. Actually, I had the opportunity to row all over the country, even including on the West Coast, and even got to go to England one summer to row and represent there. So it was fun.
That's the Navy for you. You joined to be an aviator, and you still wound up on a boat.
Exactly.
Can't escape it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
that's cool, man. I like it, and I even pick up on a hint of that French accent.
I know it's slowly disappeared over time. I never tried anything, but I think it still creeps up.
Yeah, it does, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I love accents. I obviously have one of my own, but yeah, I always appreciate them. I always love wherever people come from and what makes them who they are. I think that's really cool. Talk about some of the deployments, combat missions, and then ultimately serving as an instructor at Top Gun.
Yeah, absolutely. So from the Naval Academy, I was able to select naval aviation, be a naval aviator, the Navy term for pilot, and throughout that progress, was fortunate enough to qualify and fly F-18s. And during my 12 years in the Navy, did several deployments. So supported OEF, Operation Enduring Freedom, in Afghanistan, and then Iraq and Syria for Operation Inherent Resolve towards the end of my time there in the Navy, fighting against ISIS. Both were very impactful experiences, I will say. Slightly different, but I was in OEF in 2009, 2010. And I think our job there was, 100% supporting the guys on the ground, right? We're there to provide the support and do what we can to help the folks on the ground who, quite honestly, at times had it pretty tough. But it was at least uplifting to know that, our presence, just the noise, quite often, just the noise of a fighter jet overhead could make a difference. Have the opportunity to do some what we call show of forces, come down low and fast and scare some people away. Employed a few weapons there, but it was a lot of presence mostly, not a lot of kinetic activity during the time I was there, at least from the air perspective. Obviously, the folks on the ground had a lot of engagements for sure, and then kind of closed out my time in Navy with Operation Inherent Resolved, OIR, in Iraq and Syria. And that was a bit of a different experience, a lot more kinetic. We were there for the fight, the Battle of Mosul. So the eastern half of Mosul had already been freed. The western half, which was considered the old city, was still infiltrated. An ISIS stronghold at the time, and so that was a big push when we showed up. And then we also kicked off Al-Raqqa in Syria, clearing ISIS from their self-proclaimed capital there. So that was a pretty intense fight, for us, even on day one, coming in and doing a lot of strikes, actually going kinetic a lot, and then again supporting our forces and partner forces on the ground, both in Iraq and Syria.
Surface to air coming back at you?
Not really, So in Afghanistan, nothing. In Iraq and Syria, ISIS had captured some AAA, but quite honestly, they didn't know how to use it very well. They had some small, what we call man pads, so shoulder-mounted surface air. Again, they weren't very proficient. So the helos, the slow movers, the C-130s, the Hercs, those kind of folks, they would be more often targets. For us, they didn't really try much because they knew they can really hit us, move, too fast, too high.
Sure.
So.
Sure. And then on to Top Gun. So interesting. I had a bunch of friends who were Aztec controllers when I was in the Navy. Was that still the main source between communication between the ships and the air? Yeah, so, the Aztec controllers.
Yeah, Aztec controllers, and then for when we're flying around the ship, and then on the ground we talked to the JTACs, supporting the troops on the ground a whole bunch. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So what was it like being an instructor at Top Gun? Does it look like the movie?
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Hollywood. You got to ask that.
Yeah, Hollywood brings out
the best, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I guess small story. There's actually a fine. $20 fine if a movie gets mentioned when you're on staff there. But I think the for most people, they know Top Gun has become a little bit of a brand because of those two movies, and I think the institution is very thankful about the relationship we've had with folks like Jerry Bruckheimer, producer, Tom Cruise, who's been fabulous, and they've really, while they put a Hollywood twist on it, absolutely, I think they've portrayed the essence and the intensity and the sense of mission that all the folks have there. And it was the experience of a lifetime, having the honor and privilege of being an instructor there. And it's, I never considered myself some kind of, God-given talented pilot that just came in and just knew how to fly the pants off out of the jet. But the opportunity to be there with the best of the best and just every day learn and, get your butt kicked a bit, day in and day out, just makes you good. I mean, practice makes perfect.
Iron sharpens iron.
Absolutely.
Now, we know it wasn't Maverick or Joker, but what was your handle?
Veter. So,
Veter, I like it.
Yeah. So it was, a little bit of a European flair. I was one of they called me a techno twin, like European kind of
Nice.
thing. So,
Yeah.
Exactly. You got it.
I know exactly
go.
what you're going for.
So these days, you're an associate partner at McKinsey, which is one of the world's top management consulting firms. How does that compare to your time in the military, and did any of that experience sort of prepare you for a career in management consulting?
Great question, Scott. Thanks. I think compare is it's a difficult comparison, but I will say that in terms of the skills and what I learned in the military, they were absolutely transferable and part of what I leverage day in and day out in my job today. I can run down through a laundry list, but starting with being adaptable. Obviously, I think Tug, you know this in the Navy especially, but in every service, right? You have to be adaptable and
Sure.
be ready to flex when something new gets thrown in you on the day in day out basis. And the same thing happens, with our clients, our projects. Things change all the time, and being able to have that adaptable, flexible mindset is key. Another thing that obviously it's at the core of how we operate in the military is teamwork, right? It's all about teamwork. It's about the unit working together to win the fight. And while it's a different setting and different pretense, I mean, I love to tell the folks I work with that consulting is also a team sport, right?
Right.
We work for support our client, and it's a team sport both internally with our colleagues on the consulting side and also with our clients, partnering with our clients, and being able to work in that team atmosphere is actually absolutely critical to the success. I mean, I could go on and on, but I think there's just a ton of these skills you learn. Leadership being another one, being a servant leader, putting that client first, knowing how to build relationship with those clients, having good communication with the clients as well as your colleagues. Just a lot of those, some of them may be a little bit softer skills, but they're absolutely essential to my success, our success as consultants in supporting our clients, and they're key skills that I definitely learned and developed through my time in the military.
So you sort of play two roles, or you have two job streams there at McKinsey, from what I can see. You got corporate responsibilities, but then I know that you're also heavily involved with the Veteran Employee Resource Group there. So can you tell us about your corporate responsibilities, and then also how do you balance that with helping the veterans in the organization?
Yeah, absolutely. I think at McKinsey we like to talk about our dual-sided mission, right? It's client, and client's always kind of first and foremost, but it's also our people. So right, there's a client aspect, and what I love about our culture is we do have that people aspect to our mission, which is very similar to what we talk about in the military and the experience in the Navy. I think from a client perspective, like what is the day-to-day involved in my role right now, it's about obviously delivering the project for the client, making sure we're supporting the client and achieving the impact, the change they're looking for. But also it's about building a longer-term relationship with those clients and understanding, like, beyond that one project, what is the next thing they can do, and we can support them to really maximize their potential as a company, for their employees, for their community. And then on the people side, a lot of it is around mentorship, coaching people, apprenticing the folks around me, and I've been the fortunate receiver of that as well throughout my time at McKinsey over the past 5 years. And then also we do, like, internally on the internal mission, we also develop capabilities to then take to our clients. So a lot of stuff right now we do around, I focus my time in growth marketing and sales. And so obviously you've heard of AI, and Gen AI is a hot topic right now. And we're trying to understand how can we use this capability to support our client and best help those clients and achieve their maximum potential.
You're listening to the Warrior Alliance and Warrior Committed with William Vuillet. He is a U.S. Navy veteran, also an associate partner at McKinsey Company. You can check them out, McKinsey, McKinsey, McKinsey.com, as well as thewarrioralliance.org. Talking about the mission of McKinsey's veteran ERG, what do y'all do there? Like, what is it that you would do to engage veterans? How do you bring veterans in? What about just the overall community?
Yeah, I'll play it again around two dimension, right? Internal and external. And I think from the internal dimension, there's three levels, three parts to it, right? It's building connectivity for our group of veterans. It's also providing an opportunity for continued service for those veterans, and then finally the recruiting aspect, making sure we bring opportunity for the most talented veterans to come into McKinsey and thrive and grow at the firm at McKinsey. And then from externally, what we try to do is I think we like to support a lot of veteran service organizations, including the Warrior Alliance. You mentioned, Scott, at the beginning. We've had the privilege of having a relationship with the Warrior Alliance over the past few years and supporting them, as well as really bringing those distinctive capabilities and skills that veterans have to all of our clients. Not just our aerospace and defense clients, not just our government clients, but also really any client out there. Kind of really have them see what veterans can bring to their to the workforce, to the civilian world beyond their experience in the military.
What about veterans learning about opportunities with McKinsey?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the cool thing is there's just a ton of opportunities, and we've really tried to maximize our outreach over the past few years. We've always had McKinsey's always had a strong presence on campus, right? Like the more traditional recruiting routes, whether it's undergraduate or graduate college. So myself, came through McKinsey, going to graduate school after the military and kind of getting that exposure that way. But we've tried to expand that to include, we now are part of the SkillBridge program. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a program that's sponsored by DoD and basically helps veterans in their transition and gives them an opportunity in their last, I believe, it's 12 to 6 months of service, of terms of service, to go out there and actually do an internship while they're still technically part of the military, do an internship for 8 to 10 weeks with a civilian company. And so we've now done that for a couple years in a row. Proud to report that one of the first folks in our cohort, Air Force veteran, is now member of our office, associate here at McKinsey in Atlanta, and it's been a great program to get people involved even earlier. And then I think as a veteran, really, if you go to the website, right, McKinsey.com/careers, you can see there's really a ton of opportunities. Obviously, there's the more traditional consulting roles, but there's also more technical roles. We have data scientists, we have data engineers, IT, et cetera. And then beyond that, right, we have lawyers at McKinsey's, we have physicians, we really have all kinds of profiles. Exactly. Supporting clients in a lot of different ways, as well as supporting the firm internally.
So is it a wide age range that you're looking for? Is it just on college campuses and you want fresh minds, or is somebody who's had a career post-military service, could Absolutely. They maybe get in touch with you through thewarrioralliance.org or McKinsey.com and yep. find you? And are there roles for folks who kind of have a little more experience? Absolutely.
There's a wide gamut of opportunities. We bring in folks at very different level, to include at the most senior levels, right? We have senior advisors who are retired 4-star flag officers.
Wow.
But to your point, at the more junior level, we're I think historically we didn't have the greatest outreach for enlisted profiles, quite honestly, and that's something we've really tried to work on and strive towards, bringing more opportunities for folks coming out of service enlisted, whether they get a degree right away or not, advanced degree right away or not. having opportunities for those folks as well. So really, there's just a slew of opportunities wherever your profile is and whatever time in your career that is.
So now McKinsey is partnered with the Warrior Alliance to facilitate TWA's 5-year strategic plan. Tell us a little bit about that 5-year plan, and is that project taking on a special meaning for you as a veteran?
Yeah, absolutely. It truly was, or has been, I should say, a highlight of my experience over the past few years at McKinsey. I'm trying to think, about 18 months ago, really conversations started probably a little over 24 months ago with Scott Johnson, the CEO of the Warrior Alliance, and through our networks of supporting other local veteran service organization, got connected with him, and he talked about his aspirations for TWA, and we said, I think we thought we could help there. And so we were able to put a team together, and support the Warrior Alliance in developing that 5-year plan across several dimensions. And I think it's been a highlight for me. It was a highlight for me in terms of reconnecting really with that community. I think I'd been very focused on, making sure my transition went smoothly. I mean, it is a shift going, from the military into consulting. And while I had stayed, very close to my Navy friends, that are in other cities or still in the service, I don't think I'd developed that many connections here locally. And so that was a great opportunity. I'm very thankful to get connected to this community here in Atlanta that's very strong. Obviously, the state of Georgia has a history of a lot of military veterans and just bases all across the state, across all the different services. And so that was a privilege and a great experience. And additionally, what I really enjoyed about it is, the team we put together was actually involved a lot of non-veterans from McKinsey and exposing them to that community. And that is part of, what I try to do with our veterans group within McKinsey is exposing non-veterans to what veterans can bring internally, at McKinsey, in this case, in the realm of a project for a veteran service organization.
That's great. And, I can tell just from talking to you for a few minutes that you're on point. You have everything together. You're an outstanding individual. And so obviously you transitioned well from the Navy
into
this.
I was fortunate, yes.
But what advice would you now give to veterans who are transitioning today regarding their process and finding success after service? You got any advice for guys or girls that might be listening?
Absolutely. I think to your point, I've been very fortunate and would say, on many dimensions have had a successful transition, but I can't say that the credit goes all to myself, right? I've had help along the way. And so understand, just first and foremost, understanding that help is out there and help is available. As veterans, we have access to just tremendous resources that are available when we go through that transition period. And I know, at times, I mean, myself included, going through the transition programs within the military, you're busy, you have a million things going on, you're trying to move your family, you're trying to figure out what's next. In my case, I was still on deployment, 10 days before I left the Navy. And so those programs, while I think they can be very good, sometimes you may not take full advantage of them. So understand that just because you're out and, you've gone past that program doesn't mean there's not resources available to you.
Wrapping up, tell us about yourself, man. What do you like to do outside of work when you're not serving, when you're not working?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have my wife, Abby, and a daughter, Daphne, who's 3 years old. So consulting does take you on the road quite a bit.
I'm sure.
A lot of, Monday to Thursday, Tuesday to Thursday trips. So I think first and foremost, spending time with the family. We love to travel, be outdoors as much as possible. Drive up the road to North Georgia, get some cooler air a little bit, go hiking, that kind of stuff.
You're talking about time. I noticed your watch. Tell me about your watch. It looks cool. Is it military?
It is a military.
I thought so.
It is a military watch. Over the years, Top Gun has had the privilege of having some relationships, and basically for the 50th anniversary, which kind of coincided with the movie, IWC, which is a watch company, released a limited edition watch for instructors. So
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool gift I made to myself.
You still get up in the air a little bit? You still fly?
Not as much as I should. I do have a commercial license, and I think I have not taken my daughter up yet, so that's on the to-do list.
There you go, man. Well, we appreciate your time and
Absolutely,
what y'all do.
it was a pleasure.
Thank you for your service, and thank you for your dedication.
Todd.
Thank you. Yes, sir. It was my honor. Thank you for your dedication to serving those still in the military or transitioning out, man. What y'all doing is what y'all are doing over at McKinsey is important. So thank you. God bless you, and please come back soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome
Scott.
here anytime.
Thanks,
yeah. Thank you.
Appreciate it.